Thank God, this incredible HFY masterpiece found you today. Witness the legend starting now. Look, I need to be honest with you right from the start. When the Galactic Council announced they were integrating humans into the Universal Academy network, I thought it was the stupidest idea since the Vortani decided to colonize a black hole's event horizon. Yes, that actually happened. No crying music, they did not survive. But this was worse. My name is Krell 5, and I serve as administrative observer for Sector 7 of the Academy Station Prometheus. Fancy title, boring job. Mostly I spend my days documenting incidents, filing reports, music, and trying to keep 17 different species from accidentally starting interstellar wars over cafeteria seating arrangements. The job pays well, the benefits include regenerative health pods, and nobody bothers me much. It was perfect. Then the humans showed up. The first batch arrived on a standard transport vessel, looking exactly like their reputation suggested they would. Bipedal, symmetrical, absurdly fragile-looking. Their skeletal structure appeared to be made from crystallized stupidity, held together by sheer audacity. When the transport doors opened, I remember thinking, these creatures survived to develop space travel? How? Director Vax 12, a Krillorian with more sense than most, stood beside me at the docking bay. His facial tendrils twitched nervously. That should have been my first warning, Observer Krell, he said, his voice modulator crackling with static. I want detailed reports on every human interaction for the first standard cycle. Every single one. Sir, that seems excessive, I replied, already dreading the paperwork. Trust me, Vax 12's three eyes narrowed. With humans, nothing is excessive. My cousin worked at the Terran embassy. He retired after 6 months. 6 months? Krell. He had served for 40 years without issue. I laughed. Actually laughed. How bad could they possibly be? Vax 12 just stared at me with an expression that roughly translated meant, you poor ignorant fool. The humans filed into processing. Bay 7 in a somewhat organized line, somewhat being the key word. They kept looking around, pointing at things, making strange noises that I later learned were called oohs and ahs. Their lack of proper decorum was immediately apparent. No formal greeting protocols, no ceremonial acknowledgement of station superiority. They just wandered in like they owned the place. And there she was. Among the group of 23 human students, one stood out. Not because of any particular physical distinction, mind you. Humans all looked disturbingly similar to my eyes. Same basic configuration, same bizarre hair arrangements, same unnerving forward-facing eyes that make them look like predators, which I would learn they absolutely are. Her identification badge read Mira Kowalski, age 19, standard Terran years, origin Earth, Eastern European sector, Poland subsection, academic focus, xenobiology and comparative cultural studies. The file noted she spoke 4 Terran languages fluently and had achieved top marks in conflict resolution training. Conflict resolution, huh? The irony would become apparent soon enough. She had dark hair pulled back in what humans call a ponytail. A practical choice given the station's artificial gravity fluctuations. Music, her eyes were green. Another detail I only noticed, because the incident report would later require exact physical descriptions. She carried herself with the kind of casual confidence that suggested either complete fearlessness or complete ignorance of danger. With humans, it is usually both. The orientation proceeded normally for approximately 47 minutes. The students were assigned dormitory sections, given their class schedules, and warned about the various species-specific requirements they would need to respect. Do not touch a thermion without protective gear unless you enjoy third-degree burns. Do not make direct eye contact with the Severian delegates. They consider it a mating challenge. Basic stuff. Mira Kowalski listened attentively. Music, unasked intelligent questions, and seemed genuinely excited about the academic opportunities. She even made several other students laugh with some comment about finally getting to experience real alien food, instead of whatever that cafeteria. Mystery meat was back at the Terran Prep Academy. The other humans found this hilarious. I found it concerning. Humans have a disturbing tendency to joke about things that should be taken seriously, like nutritional poisoning. Then came dormitory assignments. The Academy operates on integration model. Different species share living quarters to promote cultural exchange and mutual understanding. In theory, it is brilliant. In practice, it means I process About 30 incident reports per standard week involving someone's sacred meditation, crystals being used as paperweights, or somebody's molted exoskeleton being mistaken for trash. Mira was assigned to Residential Pod 42, along with 3 other students, 1 Yilian, 1 Portion, and 1 Vexian. The Vexian was named Drax. This detail is important. Remember it. Drax came from one of the outer Vexian colony worlds, a place where military tradition runs deeper than their underground city networks. His family lineage traced back 17 generations of decorated officers. His older brother currently served as a tactical commander in the Vexian defense fleet. His father was a decorated general who had fought in the Krill incursion. Drax himself was destined for Military Academy after completing his basic education requirements here. He was in every measurable way Vexian nobility, and he had the attitude to match. Vexians are tall, averaging about 7 ft in human measurements. Their skin has a grayish-blue tone that shifts slightly based on emotional state. They have 4 arms, which they consider a sign of evolutionary superiority over lesser 2-armed species. Their culture values strength, discipline, and hierarchical order above almost everything else. Respect is not given, it is earned through demonstration of power. So when Drax walked into Residential Pod 42 and saw a human, a species he had been taught to view as weak and diplomatically insignificant, occupying the sleeping platform he wanted, his reaction was predictable. "You," he said, his voice a low rumble that made the walls vibrate slightly. "Move." Mira looked music up from unpacking her belongings. She had been organizing what appeared to be an excessive number of data tablets and something called instant coffee, which I later learned is a mild music stimulant humans consume in alarming quantities. "Excuse me," she said, her music tone polite but firm. "That platform, I require it. You will take the smaller one." Drax gestured with 2 of his 4 arms, music in a dismissive motion that would have sent most students scrambling to obey. Mira stood up slowly. She barely reached his chest height. The size difference was almost comical. Almost. "According to the dormitory assignment protocols," she said calmly, "sleeping platforms are distributed on a first-arrival basis. I arrived first. This platform is mine. The other 2 roommates, the Yilian and Portion, immediately found reasons to be elsewhere. Smart creatures. I wish I had been so wise." Drax's skin tone shifted toward a darker blue. Anger. "Human, you do not understand your position here. Music. My family has served the Vexian Empire for generations. I do not accept orders from inferior species." And there it was. The I word and music word inferior. Mira's expression did not change. She simply crossed her arms and tilted her head slightly. "Well, that is unfortunate for you, because here at the Academy, we are all students, equal students. So, you can take the other platform, or you can file a complaint with the residential coordinator. Your choice." I was monitoring this exchange through the standard dormitory surveillance system, as was protocol for new student integration. I remember thinking I should probably intervene before this escalated. But I was curious. How would the human handle this? Would she back down? Would she try to negotiate? I did not expect what happened next. Drax took a step forward, using his full height to loom over her. "Intimidation tactic. Classic Vexian approach. Perhaps you need a demonstration of why my people are superior. Why we command Mira did not move. Did not even blink. Respect is earned, not demanded. And right now, you are acting like a spoiled child who did not get his favorite toy." Oh no. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Drax's 4 hands clenched into fists. His mandibles, small vestigial structures near his jaw, clicked rapidly. Extreme agitation. "You dare to insult me? You are a member of a species that only achieved space travel 3 of your generations ago. We were building star cities when your ancestors were still living in caves." Mira shrugged. Actually shrugged. "And yet, Ingrid music cut here we are sharing a dorm room. Funny how that works. I should have intervened then. I really should have, but something kept me watching. Maybe professional curiosity, maybe stupidity. The line between the 2 is thinner than most people think." The standoff continued for another minute, both of them refusing to back down. "Finally, beer music." Drax made a noise that sounded like rocks. grinding together and stalked out of the room. Crisis averted. I thought I was so very, very wrong. The next 3 days passed with relative calm. Mira attended her classes, participated in study groups, and generally behaved like a model student. Drax avoided the dormitory when she was there and made pointed comments about primitive species whenever other students were around to hear. Typical posturing, nothing I had not seen before. Then came the combat training course. Every student, regardless of their primary field of study, is required to complete basic music combat certification. It is a safety measure. Space is dangerous. Pirates exist. Accidents happen. Students need to know how to defend themselves. The training arena is a massive, dome-shaped structure with variable gravity controls and holographic terrain generators. It can simulate everything from zero-gravity asteroid fields to high-gravity jungle environments. The instructors are all certified combat veterans from various species, selected for their ability to teach rather than just their ability to fight. The instructor for this particular session was named Thorn 9, a Krillian who had survived more battles than most species had fought wars. He was fair, patient, and absolutely terrifying when he wanted to be. Today, Thorn 9 announced, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the arena lights, we begin paired combat drills. You will be randomly assigned partners. The objective is not to win. The objective music is to learn your opponent's capabilities and your own limitations. Random assignment. Of course it was random. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. Guess who got paired together? When the assignments flashed on the display screen, I actually felt my respiratory organs constrict. This was going to be bad. I knew it. Vast 12 knew it. Even Thorn 9 looked concerned, which was saying something because I had once seen him get shot with a plasma rifle and his only reaction was mild annoyance. Mira and Drax stood on opposite sides of the practice circle, both wearing standard-issue training armor. The armor adjusts to fit different body types and provides protection against serious injury while still allowing impacts to be felt. Pain is an excellent teacher, the Academy believes. Music begin, Thorn 9 said. Drax moved first, as expected. Vexians are aggressive fighters, preferring to overwhelm opponents with superior strength and multiple limb attacks. All 4 of his arms came at Mira in a coordinated assault pattern that would have been beautiful if it was not so terrifying. Mira dodged, not blocked. Dodged. She moved like water, flowing around his attacks with minimal wasted motion. Drax's fists hit nothing but air. He tried again. Same result. Stand still! Drax roared, his skin now a dark, angry purple. No, Mira replied, still moving, still evading. This continued for another 30 seconds. Drax growing more frustrated, Mira growing more confident. She was not even trying to counterattack, just demonstrating that his strength meant nothing if he could not land a hit. Then she made her move. Drax overextended on a wild haymaker. Putting too much force into a punch meant to end the fight quickly. Mira stepped inside his guard, grabbed one of his arms, and used his own momentum to throw him to the mat. The impact was loud enough to echo through the entire arena. Silence. Complete. Total silence. Drax lay on his back stunned, not just physically but mentally. A human, a supposedly inferior being, had just thrown him like a sack of grain. Mira extended her hand to help him up. Good match, she said. He stared at her hand like it was a venomous serpent. Then slowly he got to his feet without accepting her help and walked off the mat without a word. Thorn 9 nodded approvingly. Excellent use of leverage and momentum. Mira, you showed proper understanding of physics over brute force. She smiled. Vexian, thank you, instructor. I updated my incident report. Minor training altercation. No injuries. Situation resolved. Professional observation. Monitor Drax and Mira interactions closely. I had no idea how closely I would be monitoring them within the next week. The cafeteria incident happened on day 8 of the human integration. The Academy cafeteria is designed to accommodate the dietary needs of hundreds of species simultaneously. There are sections for methane breathers, silicon-based life forms, and even a small area for species that consume pure energy. The human section was relatively simple. Organic compounds, proteins, carbohydrates, the usual carbon-based requirements. Mira was sitting with a group of mixed-species students, engaged in what appeared to be a lively discussion about comparative mythology. She was animated, using hand gestures to emphasize points, laughing at jokes. She seemed to be genuinely enjoying herself. Drax sat 3 tables away with a group of Vexian students. I noticed him glancing in her direction repeatedly. His skin tone kept shifting between normal gray-blue and irritated purple. Not a good sign. One of his companions, a Vexian named Tor, noticed his distraction. "Still bothered by the human?" he asked, loud enough for me to hear through the surveillance audio. "She disrespected me," Drax growled. "Disrespected my family honor. This cannot stand." "So challenge her formally," another Vexian suggested. "Demand satisfaction through proper channels." Drax shook his head. "She would use her tricks. Again, no, she needs to understand her place in a way she cannot evade." I did not like the sound of that, not at all. 20 minutes later, Mira stood up to return her tray at the cleaning station. She had to walk past Drax's table to reach it. As she approached, I saw Drax tense, preparing for something. She walked past, completely unaware of the danger. That is when Drax reached out with one of his long arms and grabbed her ponytail, yanking her backward with enough force to nearly pull her off her feet. "You need to learn respect, human," he hissed. Time seemed to slow down. I watched, horrified, as Mira stumbled backward. Her tray fell from her hands, clattering to the floor. The entire cafeteria went silent. Hundreds of students turned to watch. And then Mira did something that would change everything. She spun around faster than I thought possible for a human, and her hand came up in a wide arc. The slap connected with Drax's face with a sound like thunder. Not just any slap. A perfect open-handed strike that carried every ounce of her body, weight and momentum behind it. The kind of slap that your ancestors feel. The kind of slap that echoes through time itself. Drax's head snapped to the side. He staggered backward, one hand going to his face, his eyes wide with shock. The purple of his skin deepened to almost black. "Do not ever touch me again," Mira said, her voice deadly calm but loud enough for everyone to hear. The cafeteria remained silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Within moments, half the cafeteria was applauding. Not because they hated Drax specifically, but because everyone, regardless of species, understood what had just happened. Someone had been bullied, and someone music had stood up to the bully in the most definitive way possible. Drax looked around at the applauding students, his face a mask of humiliation and rage. He took one step toward Mira, all 4 fists clenched. "Music. I would not do that if I were you," came a voice from behind him. We all turned. Standing at the cafeteria entrance was General Vex Cordell, the highest-ranking Vexian military officer on the station. He was visiting to give a lecture series on tactical warfare, and he had just witnessed everything. Drax froze. His skin went from angry purple to terrified pale blue in an instant. "General," he started. "Silence," Vex Cordell commanded. He walked forward slowly, his heavy boots clicking against the floor. Every eye in the cafeteria followed him. He stopped directly in front of Drax and Mira. His eyes, dark and unreadable, looked from one to the other. Then he did something that made my blood run cold. "Music," he turned to Mira and bowed. Actually bowed. A Vexian general showing respect to a human student. "You defended your honor with appropriate force and restraint," he said to her. "This is the mark of a true warrior. You have my respect." Music, Mira, to her credit, managed a slightly shaky nod. "Thank you, General." Then Vex Cordell turned to Drax, his expression hardened. "You, Cadet Drax, attacking an unsuspecting opponent from behind, grabbing hair like a coward. This is how you represent our people? This is the honor of your family line?" Drax seemed to shrink under the General's gaze. As she disrespected, she defeated you in fair combat and offered you aid afterward. That is respect. You responded with petty revenge. That is disgrace." Vex Cordell's voice was ice. "Your father will hear of this. Your instructors will hear of this, and you will report to the discipline coordinator." Immediately dismissed. Drax fled, actually ran from the cafeteria, his skin tone now a sickly gray that indicated complete shame. The General looked around at the assembled students. "Let this be a lesson to all of you. Strength without honor is worthless. Power without restraint is tyranny. And bullying, music, regardless of species or status, will not be tolerated at this academy." He nodded once more to Mira, then left the cafeteria as regally as he had entered. The moment he was gone, the cafeteria exploded into conversation. Everyone was talking about what had just happened. The human who slapped a Vexian, the general who sided with her, The complete humiliation of I sat in my observation booth, my hands shaking as I tried to type up the incident report. This was going to require about 17 different forms, maybe 20, and explanations to multiple department heads. Vast 12 appeared at my door approximately 10 minutes later. "So," he said calmly, "how bad could they possibly be?" I looked at him with what I hoped was dignified resignation. "I hate you so much right now," he laughed. Actually laughed. "Welcome to human integration." Observer Krill, "It only gets more interesting from here." I watched Mira return to her table, surrounded by students from a dozen different species, all wanting to talk to her, all wanting to be her friend. I realized something profound. Huma